move on at last. So this last dish is the sweet and spicy cashew chicken. It'll have a little bit of heat to it, but it's not like blistering hot, so I don't think you need to be concerned about it. It will also have cashews on the top, so if you have any allergies to cashews, you should let me know ahead of time before I put any of the cashews in it. Okay, so we're going to start with making some of a little sauce using chicken broth, and I've got the chicken broth measured out, and I'm going to use some oyster sauce, which is in a bottle. It looks like this, but there's, it will come in other labels, of course. This you would also find in the Asian cooking section.
Is there anything else that's a substitute for oyster sauce?
No. It's made with oyster extract and soy sauce, and what else? There's one, brine. So a salty mix. And I was just reading up on it a little bit to find out if there's a substitution, and it just says no substitution. So I guess if you don't have it or don't want to use it, you just have to omit that ingredient. So I want 3 tablespoons of that, and I'm going to mix that in with the chicken broth. Yeah, it is. It's thick. 2 tablespoons. And another one. Try to wipe off the covers of things before I put the cap back on if there's something sticky like this. And sugar, a tablespoon of sugar. Oh, look. Thank you. A tablespoon of sugar. So that's the sweet part of the sweet and spicy. And a tablespoon of cornstarch, which again just thickens things up a little bit. There it is, thank you. And vinegar. Now I chose to use the rice vinegar. I presume you could use whatever kind of vinegar you have on hand. Rice vinegar is a little milder than our regular white distilled vinegar. So I'm going to put in a tablespoon of that. Just give it a little stir. I'm going to put it, I need to finish chopping my, I've got a little bit of red pepper to chop still. This is just cut in chunks. I did this bigger than the green peppers. They're about, I don't know, an inch square maybe. Just whatever size chunks you want, but in general, try to cut things up. When you're stir frying, try and cut things up into bite-sized pieces. You don't want great big pieces that you're going to have to use a knife and fork for. Remember, people are eating these with chopsticks. And I've chopped the onions already. And I need to chop green onions. Now, the green onions are just for the topping. So I need 3 of these. And that's what I have left. And I washed these ahead of time, that's why they're all wrapped up in paper toweling. And cut the peppers and cut a little bit off the top to make them meter. This is what I said about remembering to get all of your cutting and preparation done in advance. You don't want to have to do it when the food is cooked. Okay, that's chopped. And one more thing is to measure the cashews. We need just about a half cup of cashews. Chances are, if you're doing this at home for your family, you wouldn't be measuring a half cup. You just take a few handfuls or whatever you thought was appropriate.
But I'm trying to measure half cup when you would.
Thank you, Sherry. Okay. This is the best equipped kitchen to work in.
Okay.
They have just about everything you could ever dream of. And I've probably told you this before, but I've done demonstrations in a number of different places, community halls and things, and many of them will say, oh, you don't have to bring anything, we've got everything. No, they don't. They have everything here. And, oh, yes, and one last ingredient is the sambal olek. And that's, it's like a red pepper paste. And it's used a lot in Vietnamese cooking. And you can use either a Thai chili paste or this. And this is what I had in the fridge, so this is what we're using. And I will need just a teaspoon of that. And this is the sort of thing you can adjust according to your taste. I'm going to put it in so you'll know what it's like with this amount in. And then if you were to make it yourself, you could decide whether that's what you like or not. So now I've got some oil, and I'm going to put in about a tablespoon, I think, first. Half of the oil. Yeah. So it says vegetable oil. This is canola oil. Often if you buy something called vegetable oil, it's a combination of various oils. Canola oil is a nice Canadian oil. It's got a good fat profile. So that's what I always have on hand. Just letting this get a little hotter. I'm going to just use a pinch of salt and pepper too. I was afraid that was going to happen. Pause for adjustment here. Thank you. There. Sorry. Ran out of gas. That's good. Butane. And there wasn't quite enough to finish the job here. There we go. Now. I'm going to let it heat up for a minute before I add any more chicken. So this is a pound of chicken breast, and I just cut them in what I thought were bite-sized chunks. Stir them around as they cook. Trying to get all the surfaces to be cooked a little bit. I find this is a good way to cook chicken breast too. I they're nice stir fry. Again, I cut these when they were half frozen, so it makes it easier. This one is from a Canadian living book that I have that has some international dishes in it. And I've used that book quite a bit. I've used it for a lot of different things and found that I'm always happy with the results. But I guess putting in a plug for Canadian Living, but I know that they test their recipes well, and not all sources do. Canadian Living is pretty good at that. Oh, I was supposed to add the salt and pepper to this, so I'll just sprinkle a little on now. Not very much anyway, called for. Tiny little bit of pepper. It's out of that kind of fast. Cautious.
Margaret, I was just thinking about dry chicken breasts.
Yeah.
What I tend to do is cook them in the oven with just a little bit of olive oil on top. So I wonder, again, it's still high heat and not in the oven all that long, but I wonder if olive oil would work in this recipe.
Probably. I don't tend to stir fry with olive oil because it does have a lower smoke point. Right. Right. So that might be helpful. Wouldn't hurt to try. So I'm just going to set this chicken aside and add a little more oil to this wok. And that's probably more than a tablespoon. Forgive me. And so now I'm going to add the red peppers, the onion, and the sambal. A teaspoon of this. This is one of those things that lasts pretty much indefinitely in your fridge. Stir fry these. You know what that was, don't you? That was the chili base. Thank you for it. What we're working on now is to just get the onions stir fried so that they're translucent, because that's what you want to do with the onions, to make sure that they're not raw. So this is a good time time management dish. You can have everything ready ahead of time. And even though there is cooking to do at the last minute, if you've got all the prep done, it's pretty easy to pull it together.
Another plug while Margaret's doing, the hall has part of a Red Cross program, so they give us rapid tests. So if anybody wants any rapid tests on the way up, they are here. There's 5 tests and again, same thing as these sexy masks. We also have on the other video.
Okay, so that's good, I would say. I'll show you. I know you can't see very well. So it's looking like the onions are getting cooked. And now I'm going to add the chicken and just let that cook for a minute. Pop that there. Make sure we get the chicken all cooked through. I've been trying to teach myself for years to tidy things up as I use the ingredients. It's pretty imperfect so far, but I'm working on it. Okay. Now the next step is to add that sauce. I'm going to just cook that for another minute, and that will thicken up. The handles of this get hot. Remember to not grab them.
Let me find out if anybody's ordered nuts. Or is it too late?
Yeah, it's not too late yet. Any allergies to cashews? Okay, that's good. Because they're going to go in next.
I can have cashews.
Oh, you see?
Yeah.
So, in goes the green onions. So we want them, we put them in right at the end so they'll stay crisp and colorful. The cashews, we're using unsalted ones as the recipe calls for. This, I think, is so pretty. It's really, really colorful. Turn the heat off here. See how colorful it is?
Very pretty. Do you add that sauce to the
No. When you thicken things with cornstarch, it's almost instant. Really, really fast. So, did I forget anything? Any Anybody notice any mistakes? If not, I think we're ready to serve this.
That must be the
Once again, I was a little scared. You just grab it. Yeah. Have you tried chopsticks? Oh, you can. Yeah, it's amazing. Like you hold one rigid and you move the other one. So you can grasp things. Exactly. And YouTube, you can learn anything from YouTube. Yes. Thank you very much. It was very tasty.
That is trying so hard to be spicy, but it doesn't jump over the edge of alcohol.
Thank you.
It's not too spicy. That's what I'm saying. You can feel it, it's spicy, but then it goes.
I use
Only like spicy.
I was very more about you than anybody because you know what the real thing is. You do a good job. Thank you. Just down to vegetables and cashews.
So I will put up a sign up here. That's about what, so if you want to sign up for the Newfoundland cooking on, Wednesday,
Yes,
Sherry, the same.
Sherry, August 7th, you say?
No, the 10th. Wednesday, the Wednesday.
7th is the key.
The 7th is the tea, the 3rd is rock climbing, the 12th is deep sea fishing.
I'm looking for a house.
I would help. Okay. But yeah, next one.
Okay.
Next one, that's fine.
There's probably a different book.
If it's the same. As the one that.
So the book hasn't been selected.
This is right.
You'll be
Yeah.
gone. Do you have trouble? In a nice polite way, right?
I had one that I grabbed one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so, do you want to do this?
That's the workshop. And how those rock clubs are long. Oh, that's what's
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today, and I hope that you learned something that you can take home and use. And if you want to, you can sign up for next month's presentation on fish, cod. And other than that, there's the books over there. I brought a few books that you could look at if you're interested. And just have a look and see what interesting things there are. They've got nice pictures. And so that's all I have for you. Thank you very much.
Come down here, Mark.